to Swayam MOOC on British Poetry and Drama 14th to 17th century. I want to start with this candle. Every light we kindle is a beginning. This little flame is a symbol of what we are going to do in this course, bringing light to ideas, stories and voices from hundreds of years ago. So let us begin the journey. Our journey begins in 14th century London. French and Latin are the language of nobility. English is the language of common people. Voices of change have already started appearing. English writing does exist, but rarely as a vehicle of literature, philosophy and serious thought. Then comes Geoffrey Chaucer, popularly known today as father of English language, as father of English poetry. Chaucer, instead of conforming to the tradition, instead of writing in French or Latin, chooses to write in English, the language of the vernacular. The choice is revolutionary. Chaucer not only decides to write in the language of the masses, but through his skill, wit and wisdom also very successfully proves that English is capable of serious scholarship. Unit 1 of our course is taken from Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Canterbury Tales is a frame narrative, story within story. Chaucer did not invent the form. The world was familiar with the form. In India, we had Panchatantra. Middle East, we had Arabian Nights, and Aesop fables of the Greece inspired everyone. Chaucer uses frame narrative form, but makes it his own. In his stories, the people from the ordinary class, people from the landed gentry, people from almost all the sections of society, they come alive on the scene. Each one of them telling their own stories, each one of them making us live their own fears, ambitions, motives and intentions. And one of the most powerful characters of all of these is Wife of Bath. In our course, we are going to do Wife of Bath's prologue. In Canterbury Tales, all the characters are supposed to tell stories, two on the way to the shrine of Canterbury and two when they are returning. Wife of Bath's prologue is longer than her story. Why not? She is a story in herself. And in Canterbury Tales, she says, experience though none authority were in this world is right enough for me. The words are extraordinary because what she asserts says that as an individual, I shall use my authority to tell my own story through my own experience and not repeating what the scriptures say. From Wife of Bath's prologue, we move to the Renaissance. The first poet we come across is Philip Sidney. Sidney takes the sonnet form which comes to England from Italy and makes it reach its greatest heights as far as court poetry is concerned. His Astrophel and Stella sonnets breathe life and fire into the 14-line form. But it is Edmund Spenser, the next poet, who brings in much more innovation in this poetry. Sidney's sonnets were love poems in conformity with the courtly tradition, but Edmund Spenser marks a deviation. In him, poetry comes to represent not only the material, the physical, but also the metaphysical. Love for him is not the ordinary love, it is metaphysical, Neoplatonic love, with sonnets like, one day I wrote her name upon the strand, then like as a huntsman And then, sweet warrior, when shall I have peace with you? He makes us travel in these sonnets through the realms of life and death, ending only in eternity. After these sonnets, these love poems by Sidney and Spencer, the next poet we meet in our course is John Donne. Yes, bold, metaphysical John Donne, remembered today for his metaphysical conceits, for comparing lovers with a pair of compass. John Donne's poetry marks a complete break from the established tradition of the time. He shows us that serious concerns of humanity, they can also find voice, with tender emotions such as love. We are doing The Sun Rising, where he challenges sun for disturbing him. But the problem is not that sun has disturbed the lovers. He says, busy old fool, unruly sun. But what John Donne is really angry with is his own mortality and sun's immortality. Then in the next poem, A Valediction Forbidding Mourning, he celebrates love, telling us that the two souls, they do not remain two, but become one in love. And then finally, Batter My Heart, three-personed God. Batter My Heart encaptures in true spirit the struggle of the Renaissance mind to cope with the reason and the questions which it is raising for humanity. People of the time believe very firmly in Christianity, but every day new facts come exhorting their belief, forcing them to reconsider. And John Donne, voicing the temperament of the age, says, reason, your viceroy in me should defend, but not. He's perturbed by the fact that God, though gave us reason to make it possible for us to see God, to believe Him, but it makes us question. Renaissance poetry made the poets turn inward, seeing the soul and the inner light, inner voice of human heart, human feelings and intentions. While poetry made the Renaissance mind turn inward, theatre made it turn outward. Theatre evolved as soul of humanity, inner voice of humanity. In our course, we begin our journey through theatre with Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus's story is a story which reads like a story of every man. Dr. Faustus is a brilliant scholar, completely given to pursuit of knowledge, his ambition to understand all the mysteries of the universe, and the urge, it is so powerful that he agrees to sell his soul to devil in exchange of absolute knowledge, access to absolute power. And the aftermath is devastating. Dr. Faustus's story stands as a warning to every human being that yes, we must all pursue greatness, we must all pursue knowledge, but at what cost? And that we must never cross ethical boundaries. And the grand rhythmic blank verse of Christopher Marlowe makes the music come beautifully alive through every line of the play. The next writer of our course, William Shakespeare, makes us see human ambition, human desire come alive on stage. William Shakespeare is a name that needs no introduction. For a very large population of this world, Shakespeare is synonymous with theatre, is synonymous with drama. In our course, we have his very celebrated tragedy, Macbeth. Macbeth is a story of vaulting ambition. What happens when we are willing to compromise, to cross the ethical boundaries set for us in pursuit of relentless desires? But it is not only a story of pursuit of relentless desire, but it is also a story of how we allow ambition, how we allow circumstances to deceive us, to somehow act against us. Macbeth's story has been so powerfully rendered that it becomes an unforgettable experience in itself. We begin the play and find him a dedicated, noble soldier, willing to give everything to protect his kingdom, to protect his king. And then comes the supernatural. William Shakespeare very powerfully makes use of both natural and supernatural to create an enchanting, engaging atmosphere in Macbeth. In the very first act, we meet witches. They say, "Fair is foul, foul is fair, hover through the fog and fill the air." The paradox forces us to think and keep in mind what the action of the play actually will later on remind us. What looks fair might be foul, so go slow. What looks so foul might be fair, so think properly, reflect seriously. Macbeth's story takes us from relentless pursuit of ambition, in which Macbeth sacrifices almost everything, his happiness, his peace, just to get, absolute power, only to realize that he was but deceived all the time. And he says in frustration, "Life is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." While Macbeth feels disenchanted, he also makes it a point that we do see what could have been the alternative way of life. He very powerfully presents that he could have lived an honorable life. Macbeth's story is a reminder to all humanity against the submission to unchecked ambitions. And probably there is no individual, no human in this world who has not felt this urge of ambition in him. While the story of Macbeth forces us to turn inward and check our ambitions, his comedy, Twelfth Night, takes us to a different perspective of life. Twelfth Night begins in Illyria, a land of imagination and romance. But the message is truly profound. It begins with a crisis. Our heroine, she is alone on an island, shipwrecked. She has lost her brother and she is bemoaning her loss, thinking, her brother is in Elysium. What is it that she'll do in Illyria? But as the story revolves, we realize that through the action, Shakespeare gives us one of the most powerful messages of life, that amid sorrows of life, it is our duty to find laughter, to find happiness, because there would never be a day in life where some sorrow would not knock at your door. And then, enchanting lines from this piece, lines like, "If music be the food of love, play on." They fill the atmosphere with music, fun, laughter, but loaded in this laughter is a lot of worldly wisdom. Theatre, whether it is tragedy or comedy, both of them inform our decisions. They give us powerful messages about how to live life and what to do and what not to do. In totality, if we look at this course, one must ask why these texts matter. These texts matter because they all have a mark of truly great work of art in them. Every great work of art has element of universality. When you look at Geoffrey Chaucer's Wife of Bath, whatever she speaks is relevant even today. Even today we understand that yes, every individual gets to speak with authority about his life, gets to live his or her life on her own conditions, questioning gender patriarchy norms that are being questioned even today. Wife of Bath leaves a lasting impress on our mind because she presents herself as a very powerful, very modern, contemporary kind of character. Enlightened, emancipated and powerful individual. When you look at love poetry, be it Sidney, be it Spencer, be it Donne, all of them, consider the same questions which we are considering even today. How and what in love matters the most? Love, how it elevates and how it makes us rise above the normal, ordinary and reach the greatest heights humanity can ever achieve. When you look at Dr. Faustus, when you look at Macbeth, when you look at Twelfth Night, all of them, they connect with us so beautifully, so powerfully even today that you wonder at the poets who were so ahead of their age. For a firm footing in the study of English literature, it is very important that all of us understand the art of all these writers, because it is through this understanding that we will be in a position to understand the development of English literature as it has come down to us today. What are the objectives of this session? Through this course, students of literature will be able to get a deep insight into the beginning of English literature. This course actually begins with the beginning. English literature, the way we know it today, it comes down to us and draws very heavily from the period of literature which we will be covering in this course. So, from 14th century to 17th century, all the writers, Chaucer, Spencer, Donne, Marlowe, Shakespeare, they not only have inspired the poets, thinkers across the ages to come after them, but they also inspire us even today. If we want to understand contemporary literature, poetry and drama, then the works become crucial for informing our decisions, for informing our reading and understanding. Through this course, we will be trying to understand the process of reading poetry, the process of looking at the meaning between the lines. We will be talking about the elements of tragedy as given by Aristotle. We will be talking about the style, elements of style, not only in poetry but also in drama and theatre. So, for students of literature, the course seeks to develop analytical thinking, to give them critical insights, to give them an understanding of how to study literature. So, overall, this course serves as a foundation for all the students who want to pursue literature in their life. This course is perfect for the students of graduation, first year, second semester, but it is not limited to them. The postgraduate students who want to gain fresh insights into the origins of English literature may also benefit greatly from this course. Even literature enthusiasts who want to understand how the art of storytelling, poetry, theatre evolved and developed, they can also join this course. In short, if you love poetry, if you love theatre, if you love stories, then this is the course for you. So, once again I welcome you to Swayam MOOC on British Poetry and Drama 14th to 17th century. And as we begin this journey, remember this flame. Remember that every story we read, every play we watch, every poem we listen is a light carried across the centuries. See you in the course. Thank you.